Breaking the 10,000-year-old cycle of degradation, replacing ancient conventional industrial, ACI, agriculture with PQNK, the science of natural ecosystems. Global food systems face interconnected crises of soil degradation, water scarcity, biodiversity loss, and malnutrition. This paper argues these are not separate challenges but symptoms of a single root cause: ancient conventional industrial, ACI, agriculture. This 10,000-year-old paradigm, originating in humanity's first attempts to dominate nature and violently augmented by industrialism, is fundamentally a war against the life-sustaining processes of the soil. Modern agronomy, by disconnecting plant health from soil health, became a science of industrial inputs, designed to sustain this degenerative model. The result is a massive, externalized cost to planetary and human health. This paper presents PQNK, Paedar Qudratti Nizam Kashatqari, Natural Ecosystem Science for Production Agriculture, not as an alternative, but as the only scientifically valid framework for food production. PQNK is the conscious application of nature's 400-million-year-old, proven operating system, a strict, sequential protocol to reboot agroecosystems into self-sustaining resilience. We conclude with a direct call to action for academia, policymakers, financial institutions, and implementation agencies to abandon the failing ACI paradigm and align with the principles of enduring natural abundance. 1. Introduction: The ACI Legacy, a 10,000-year-old problem, industrially augmented. We gather at a precipice of our own making. The crises of eroding topsoil, vanishing aquifers, collapsing biodiversity, and rising malnutrition are routinely treated as disparate modern problems requiring technological fixes. This is a profound diagnostic error. These are not modern problems, they are the inevitable, culminating symptoms of an ancient and fundamentally flawed design, a design we have spent 10 millennia refining towards its own catastrophic conclusion. This design is ancient conventional industrial, ACI, agriculture. It is the unbroken thread from the first hoe turning a virgin prairie to the ox-drawn plow to the 500-horsepower tractor pulling a 48-row plow that inverts soil and sprays across a sterile landscape. ACI is not merely a set of practices, it is an anthropocentric paradigm, a worldview that places humanity outside of and above nature, tasked with subduing it through force and intellect. This paper contrasts this 10,000-year legacy of error with the 400-million-year proven resilience of natural ecosystems, systems that have sustained immense biomass and biodiversity without depletion, pollution, or human intervention. They function on a simple, unchanging principle: life creates the conditions conducive to more life. The central thesis of this manifesto is that human food production has never applied true science. It has applied mechanics, chemistry, and genetic manipulation to prop up a degenerative model. The only path to genuine sustainable food security is to abandon this failed experiment and adopt PQNK, Natural Ecosystem Science for Production Agriculture. PQNK is the rigorous emulation of nature's blueprint, a systematic protocol to heal the wounds of ACI and guide our farms back into alignment with the laws of the natural world. 2. The ACI failure, from ancient error to modern catastrophe. 2.1 The ancient conventional core, the first divergence. The original sin of agriculture was not domestication, but simplification. Natural ecosystems thrive on complexity, diversity, and perenniality. The first farmers, with limited knowledge, broke this system by clearing land, tilling soil, and planting monocrops. Tillage, the cornerstone of ancient conventional agriculture, was the declaration of war on the soil ecosystem. It murdered the fungal networks, nature's internet, that transport nutrients and information. It oxidized soil organic matter, destroyed soil structure, and made the land vulnerable to the twin agents of death, erosion and compaction. This set in motion a negative feedback loop of decreasing fertility and increasing human effort, a loop we have been trying to escape ever since with increasingly violent interventions. 2.2 The industrial augmentation, accelerating the collapse. The Industrial Revolution and the so-called Green Revolution did not solve the problems of ancient agriculture, they weaponized them. Mechanization allowed us to till more land, deeper and faster, creating vast tracts of lifeless hardpan. Synthetic fertilizers, derived from fossil fuels, offered a temporary illusion of fertility while bypassing and further destroying the soil's biological nutrient cycling capacity. Pesticides and herbicides then waged chemical warfare on any remaining life that threatened the monolithic crop stand. This was not progress, it was the application of immense power to a broken model, ensuring its failure would be swift and catastrophic on a global scale. 2.3 The role of modern science, the doctrine of inputs. Tragically, modern agricultural science became the handmaiden of ACI. Agronomy ceased to be the study of the land, agros plus nomos, the law of the land, and became the science of inputs. It deliberately disconnected plant health from soil health, reducing the complex process of growth to a simplistic chemical equation, NPK. This created a lucrative market for industrial products and a dependency cycle for farmers. The soil was no longer a living organism to be understood and nurtured, it was an inert hydroponic medium, a mere anchor for roots, into which life had to be injected from a bag or a tank. 2.4 The catastrophic, externalized costs. The bill comes due. The true cost of ACI is staggering and has been systematically offloaded onto society and the environment. This externalized bill is now due, payable in the currency of existential crisis. The soil bill. We have lost a third of the world's arable land to erosion. Soil organic matter, the foundation of life, has been depleted to crisis levels, turning carbon-rich sponges into lifeless dirt. A senior UN official has warned that, if current rates of degradation continue, all of the world's topsoil could be gone within 60 years. The water bill. ACI agriculture is the world's largest polluter and consumer of freshwater, but its most devastating impact is the catastrophic breaking of the terrestrial water cycle. The creation of vast, impermeable hardpans through relentless tillage and compaction restricts rainwater infiltration to near zero. Consequently, water that should recharge aquifers and nourish landscapes instead runs off, causing catastrophic soil erosion and flooding, or it sits on the surface and evaporates. This prevents the slow percolation that sustains springs, streams, and base flows in rivers. The result is that trillions of tons of water that should be stored in our continent's biological and geological systems are instead forced into the atmosphere and oceans, contributing to more extreme weather patterns, more frequent droughts, and the demise of ancient hydrological systems. This, combined with chemical runoff that creates dead zones in our oceans and irrigation that drains ancient aquifers, represents a total failure of water stewardship. This failure exacerbates the global water crisis, where already 2.2 billion people lack access to safely managed drinking water. The health bill. Nutrient density in our food is plummeted, correlating with the rise of chronic diseases. Our bodies are starved of minerals and micronutrients while being saturated with chemical residues. The climate bill. Agriculture is a primary driver of climate change, contributing over 25% of GHG emissions through deforestation, soil carbon loss, nitrous oxide from fertilizers, and methane from industrial livestock. The economic bill. Farmers are trapped in a debt cycle for inputs that provide diminishing returns. Society bears the cost of water purification, healthcare crises, disaster relief for climate-fueled floods and droughts, and climate disaster mitigation, a multi-trillion-dollar subsidy to a failing system. 3. The PQNK solution, implementing nature's 400-million-year-old blueprint. PQNK is not a new invention. It is the humble application of the oldest, most successful, and only proven sustainable operating system on Earth, the natural ecosystem. It requires an end to human invention and the beginning of emulation. It has been successfully adopted by tens of thousands of farmers, demonstrating its practical and economic viability. The following sequential protocol is designed to surgically reverse ACI damage and reboot the farm's innate biological functions. 3.1 Break the hardpan. The first step is a one-time surgical intervention to shatter the compaction caused by centuries of tillage and heavy machinery. This is not tilling, it is fracturing. It restores the primary physical condition nature requires: water infiltration and gas exchange, re-establishing the aerobic environment essential for life. 3.2 Form raised beds. On the fractured subsoil, we form permanent raised beds. This is crucial to prevent soil inundation and ensure perfect drainage, mimicking the well-drained mounds and topography of natural landscapes. It creates a defined, protected growing environment that is resilient to compaction from rainfall and machinery. 3.3 Cultivate with cover crops. On these beds, we cultivate a diverse polyculture of cover crops. Their roots perform the only tilling that is permissible, a biological tillage that opens pores, builds stable soil aggregates, and, most importantly, feeds the entire soil food web with exudates and biomass. When terminated, the plants are cut and mulched over the raised beds above the soil surface, leaving the root systems to decompose in place. This continuous root presence mimics the perenniality of natural prairies and forests, providing a constant food source for soil biology. 3.4 Apply thick organic mulch. The soil surface is blanketed with thick organic mulch. This is non-negotiable. It moderates soil temperature to the optimal 13 degrees Celsius to 26 degrees Celsius range for microbial activity, conserves life-giving moisture, suppresses weeds, and provides a continuous carbon source for decomposers. It is the farmer's replication of the forest floor's leaf litter. 3.5 Commit to no-till planting. Once this living system is established, the soil is never mechanically disturbed again. Planting is done with specialized no-till planters, such as the Vertical Insertion Precision Planter, VIPP, or Slit Insertion Precision Planter, SIPP, developed by Paedar, that place seeds through the mulch into the soil. This allows the fragile, critical architecture of the soil, the fungal networks, the water pores, the aggregate structure, to mature and strengthen year after year, reaching a peak of function and resilience unknown in ACI systems. 3.6 Eliminate all external inputs. The emergence of a self-sustaining biological universe in a fully mature PQNK system. The very concept of an external input becomes an archaic relic of the ACI paradigm. The application of synthetic fertilizers, pesticides, and herbicides is not merely redundant, it is a form of ecological self-sabotage that poisons the intricate, self-regulating life web that now sustains the farm. This self-sufficiency is achieved through two fundamental, interconnected biological processes. The mineral-to-nutrient conversion engine. The primary role of the PQNK system is not to add nutrients, but to activate the vast mineral bank already present in every soil. A thriving, diverse soil microbiome, fueled by root exudates and organic mulch, acts as a continuous, living refinery. These microbes, bacteria, fungi, protozoa, nematodes, perform the essential alchemy of breaking down parent rock minerals and existing organic matter into plant-available nutrients. The recycled organic mulch serves not as the primary fertilizer, but as a supplementary carbon source to maintain the energy and population of this microbial workforce. The system is fundamentally self-fertilizing through this perpetual cycle of microbial conversion and nutrient cycling. The built-in pest defense system. Pest regulation transcends simple predator-prey balance to include sophisticated, innate plant immunity. A plant growing in such a healthy, biologically active soil is naturally robust and resistant. Furthermore, the soil hosts a vast array of beneficial organisms, including Bacillus thuringiensis, BT, and other microbial allies. These bacteria naturally produce specific proteins that are harmless to humans and non-target insects but are lethal to specific plant pests. In a PQNK system, these microbes form symbiotic relationships with plants, effectively providing them with these defensive compounds. This creates a scenario where the plants themselves become continuously protected from within, catering to a wide spectrum of harmful pests without any external chemical intervention. Therefore, external inputs are a violence against this established order. Synthetic fertilizers bypass and cripple the microbial refinery. Broad-spectrum pesticides and herbicides indiscriminately murder the very life, the predators, the Bt bacteria, the beneficial fungi, that constitutes the farm's immune and nutritional system. PQNK does not require inputs because it has become a conscious replication of a mature ecosystem, a self-sufficient, self-regulating, and self-defending biological universe. 4. The imperative for change, a direct call to action. The evidence is irrefutable. The choice is no longer between different agricultural models, it is between a living future and a degenerative end. We must act now. To academia, abandon reductionist research that serves the ACI input paradigm. Redirect funding and intellectual energy towards whole system ecology, soil microbiome science, and the rigorous validation of PQNK principles. Reform agricultural curricula from the ground up to produce ecosystem managers, not chemical applicators. To policymakers and governments, enact policies that force the internalization of ACI's externalized costs through taxation on synthetic inputs and water extraction. Radically shift subsidy structures away from supporting degradation and towards rewarding farmers for ecosystem services rendered, carbon sequestered, water recharged, biodiversity increased, and communities nourished. Crucially, establish direct subsidy programs for the specific machinery required to implement the PQNK protocol. 1. Subsoilers to break hardpan, 2. Raised bed shapers, 3. Mulchers, and 4. Vertical insertion, VIPP, or slit insertion, SIPP, precision planters. This removes a primary financial barrier to adoption and accelerates the transition. To financial institutions, develop innovative loan products that fund the transition to PQNK, recognizing the initial investment in equipment and knowledge. Evaluate a farm's health not by its yield insurance, but by the value of its regenerated natural capital, its soil organic matter, its water holding capacity, its biodiversity. To implementation agencies, stop promoting standardized, input-heavy packages. Transform extension services into knowledge hubs that empower farmers with the principles of ecosystem management. Become facilitators of a peer-to-peer learning network where successful PQNK practitioners lead the way. 5. Conclusion: the choice between two legacies. We stand at the pinnacle of choice, heirs to two legacies. One is a 10,000-year legacy of ACI, a story of relentless extraction, simplification, and conflict with nature that has brought us to the brink of collapse. The other is a 400-million-year legacy of natural ecosystems, a story of boundless creativity, resilience, abundance, and reciprocity. PQNK is the bridge between these legacies. It is the conscious, scientific decision to end the war and join the party of life. It is the necessary end of human-designed agriculture and the glorious beginning of nature-guided production. The blueprint for a sustainable, secure, and abundant food future is not in a laboratory, it is under our feet, in the wisdom of the natural ecosystems that have sustained life for 400 million years. Let this conference be the moment we finally choose to stop fighting it and start learning from it. Any production process that inundates soil with water, disturbs soil through tillage, or leaves soil bare without organic mulch cover does not qualify as natural ecosystem science for production agriculture, PQNK, picnic.